This is Star and MICEY. We're here with Run Memphis. Let's go. My name is Jeff Smith. I'm the bass player and backing vocal for Star and MICEY, and have been for way too long.
I had you on the telephone, said you won't be coming home. Heard you had to leave the state, said you won't be back someday. Well, now I can't wait. No, I think you should stay. I heard you went to Tennessee, thought that you'd come back to me, thought you said you'd never leave. Baby, please come home to me. Well, now I can't wait. No, I think you should stay. But I could say a million things and everyone would mean something, but I can't. No, I can't wait. You on the telephone, said you might be coming home. I know you had to leave the state, now you're coming back someday.
Absolutely. The name Star and MICEY is the name of two homeless people in Midtown Memphis. There was a night years ago, about eight plus years ago, Josh, the lead singer, one of the lead singers of Star and MICEY, was walking home on Madison, where he hears someone yell out, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me, sir." And of course, you know, when it's like 2 in the morning, the last thing you want to do is, you know, all you want to do is get in your bed because you're worn out from working. Well, Josh, being the guy he is, you know, relented and turned around and, you know, just talked to the guy and said, "Hey man, yeah, how's it going?" And this guy said, "Man, I saw you had a guitar on your back, and I just wonder if you're a musician." And Josh said, "Yeah, I'm a musician." He's like, "Well, man, do you mind playing me a song? I've had a really tough night. You know, it's hard out here on the streets." And Josh was like, "Yeah, man, I'll play you a song real quick." So Josh played him a song that he had just wrote about him, a recent breakup he had with his longtime girlfriend, a song called "Late at Night." And this guy really loved the song, really felt it. And, you know, the guy was like, "Oh man, I really like that a lot, man." He's like, "Can I sing you a song?" And Josh was like, "Yeah, man, absolutely, sure." So, you know, this guy started singing a song a cappella, and about halfway through the song, Josh started going like, "Man, that really sounds familiar." And then we got done, he's like, "Hey man, I gotta admit, halfway through that song, I just went into a Prince song." So they kind of laughed a little bit about that, and Josh said, well, my name's Josh, man. What is your name? He said, well, my real name's Jonathan, but out here people call me Star. And that song that I just sang you was about my ex-fiance, MICEY. Josh goes, Star and MICEY. Kind of had like a little, you know, epiphany, a little revelation, if you will. And Josh, being the guy he is, he said, man, do you mind if I use your name as my band name? Because we were looking for a band name at the time. We had a terrible band name. I think we were called Smooth or something. I was like, that's awful. Smooth or something. I was like, that's awful. That's awful. And I couldn't stand it. I just wanted Josh to say, do whatever you have to do to find a cool band name, you know. I charged him with that task. But anyways, so Star was like, you would write a song about me? And Josh was like, no. I was like, I want to use your names as my band name. And he freaked out. And, you know, ever since, like, man, I think he makes more money off of his name than we do. I mean, he'll say, I'm Star from Star MICEY around town. People give him, you know, 10, 15 bucks. And Star was a really good guy. And we kind of called it a homeless love tragedy. You know, between, you know, these two lovers that, you know, lived on the street and tried to make the most of it, and unfortunately it didn't work out. So, you know, kind of bittersweet. So that is where the name Star and MICEY came from.
Very intriguing. Now here, could you introduce them and give us the instrument?
Yes, there's Josh Cosby, acoustic guitar and lead vocals. There's Nick Redman, electric and lead guitars, lead vocals. And then there's Jeremy Stanfill, drums, backing vocals, and lead vocals. And I play bass and backing vocals. So.
I listen to some of you guys' music, and you guys are very professional. How did that much talent accumulate into one studio at the same time? How did you guys meet?
Well, we all grew up in Memphis, in and around Memphis. All kind of grew up in the same circles, but didn't really know each other. We all went to the same shows. We were in bands with, you know, friends of their friends and so on and so forth. And it wasn't me and Josh actually grew up going to see Jeremy play with his band in the early 2000s down at the New Daisy Theater every Friday night. You know, we I was 14 years old, and this guy, you know, and Jeremy was he's a few years older than us. He was like 16, 17 years old, playing in front of 800-900 people every night, and we would just lose our minds. You know, this guy was awesome, and we loved this band. You know, they were kind of like heavy nu metal-ish, but not, almost like no effects. And so to have someone like Jeremy Stanfill, he's a brother, he's one of my best friends, to have someone that I idolized as a kid, now as a fellow musician in our band is you know, it's incredible. And then Nick, he kind of the same thing. Nick grew up playing guitar and writing songs, and he also played in those same circles. He you know, playing the shows at the Daisy every Friday night or Saturday night, and then he went to school at Full Sail down in Winter Park, Florida. Got an engineering degree in sciences for recording engineering, and then he came to Arden Studios and worked there for a while, interned there, and then that's how Josh and Nick met. And, you know, me and Josh, a little side note, me and Josh grew up together. We were best friends since we were like 7th grade. And it was the original lineup was just me and Josh, just bass and guitar and vocals, and, you know, there was nothing else, and it was just kind of empty. We had really cool, fun pop songs, but that was it. And it all just formed somehow from, you know, Nick working at Ardent Studios on Madison, getting me and Josh in there with our old drummer who's no longer with us to play, you know, these songs. And then with Jeremy, you know, being a singer-songwriter, being in those same circles, we just all kind of met at this club Neil's. They used to be on Madison and McLean that burned down. We wore that place out, and they had a big singer-songwriter thing there, and that's how collectively, that's how all four of us met, and that's how all four of us discussed the possibility of playing music together. I didn't even know Jeremy played drums. I didn't know he played drums until years after the fact, until he's like, you know, one night he said I could play the drums, and I heard him playing drums. I'm like, you've been holding out for this long. We've needed a drummer for, like, you know, 3-4 years, and you're just all of a sudden, oh, I play drums. But again, that's not what Jeremy wanted to do, because he's a singer-songwriter. He already lived that life of being a drummer. But you know, we all come from similar backgrounds. We all grew up poor. We all grew up kind of struggling a little bit, but we all had the same love for music. And
can you tell me, where does the music come from? Like, does one guy come in and say, I have an idea, or you guys all sitting down always collaborating, or just speak specifically about you? How does the music come to you?
With the four of us, the music is always coming. I mean, everyone's always writing music. Everyone's always coming up with ideas. When we come into this room and record, or just to practice, we all have, you know, there'll be an idea, and then we'll all collaborate and figure it out and hash it out and run through it a few times just to complete it. And then from there, we will decide, you know, what needs to be done, you know, structure-wise and arrangements and all that. So it's just like this huge collective effort. We all write songs individually, and it's whether or not we want to introduce them to the band and work them out. That's, you know, up to whoever's writing the song. You know, Josh writes songs that are more personal than, you know, than he wants to, you know, them to be Star MICEY songs, and same with Jeremy, same with Nick, same for myself. But you know, one of us will have this cool like little groove or little melody, and then we'll build off of that, because we're all songwriters, and that's what we grew up doing. You know, listening to the Beatles and all the Stax and Motown stuff. Those are all hit songs, and we based our, you know, our songwriting structure off of just, you know, the simple structure of like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, out, you know, but making it interesting and using, you know, melodies, and we all sing, so we have a lot of harmony. And so yeah, it's, you know, it's a huge collective effort, and it's not just one person writing, which is great, because, you know, it's all kind of like a shared collective thing, which makes not that one guy that, you know, the egomaniac that's, you know, saying, well, it's all about me, I get all the songwriting credits, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, man, it's like, this is a group effort. It's way too personal. You know, it's all four of us. It's us against the world kind of thing.
So it's safe to say you guys won't be the Temptations.
No, you know, luckily one of us isn't David Ruffin, who's, you know, going around and, right. You know, but I love the Temptations. They're one of my favorite Motown groups. So
how did you guys get introduced to recording in Ardent Studios?
Well, there was a guy named Curry Weber who was an engineer at Ardent Studios, and he also he's the one who occupies the space next, or on the other side of the wall. He's basically our engineer, producer, manager, guru, has been for years. And Nick and him worked together at Ardent. And Nick was, at the time, Ardent was wanting to revamp their secular label from back in the 70s, when they had like a band Big Star on there. And so they were looking for a new groups and stuff like that. And so Nick and Josh met at Neil's one night, and Josh gave Nick a CD of songs, just, you know, and Josh can't really write that well, so it's all scribbled on a CD. And Nick listened to him, he liked him a lot, and he then found out that, you know, that Star MICEY was actually a group that I was involved. I was actually in another band at the time called Chess Club, but they're no longer together. And so me and Josh got back together as Star MICEY with our old drummer from years ago, to go cut some demos at Ardent one night, just behind locked doors, didn't tell anybody, recorded 12 songs live. And we've never been in a live studio ever, and it was really intimidating. You know, you have like a $10,000 microphone in front of you, and you don't want to spit on it at all, you know. So that was a very intense, surreal experience. It was really recording. And then from there, as Ardent was looking for, you know, a new act assigned to their new label, they kind of relented a little bit and gave us, they gave us a little bit of space, said, all right, you guys record 3 songs professionally, not live, but track it and see how it sounds, and then we'll go from there. So in November of 2008, we recorded 3 songs off the first 3 songs of our first album in Studio C at Ardent, tracked them the way that, you know, the way they said, and, you know, and kind of produced and, you know, made them sound really good, and they liked it so much that they signed us. We signed with them in January of 2009, and we were signed with them, have been signed with them for like 5 years, but not so much anymore. So that's how we got introduced to recording with Ardent, and then with that open windows with Curry, our guy Curry, has worked at studios all around the country. He brought us down to Dockside Studios in Maurice, Louisiana, where like Gatemouth Brown and Dr. John have all recorded, and like this awesome studio in the Bayou, like, and exploring other, you know, other studios like that. We got to work with Dennis Herring down in Oxford, Sweet Tea Studios down there. He did Buddy Guy, he did Elvis Costello, Modest Mouse. I mean, he did a lot of really cool albums. And so like getting into the mindset of like really recording, you kind of, you know, as intimidating as it was at first, now it's kind of like that's just part of the job, you know. So you have no choice but to adapt. But recording is so much fun because, you know, you can do anything and everything. You can do a lot more in recording than you can live, unless you got like, you know, 10 other people live to play, you know, a triangle or a tambourine or something. But so yeah, we love it. We loved recording the first album. We loved going to every studio we could, and you know, we're gonna keep loving going. We record in this building, you know, as much as we can. We've recorded over 60 songs in this building in the past year alone. So, and
that's great. Who would you credit starting you off in the music business? Was there someone gave you a guitar, a father, auntie, mother? I mean, what was your first initial introduction to music?
My first introduction to music, I went to Keystone Elementary in North Memphis from like 1990 to 1996, like 1st through 6th grade. And they started teaching guitar there like 4th or 5th grade. And I remember my grandmother had this old classical guitar. It was I don't even remember what the brand was. I think it was a Western brand guitar, just a knockoff acoustic from the 70s that she had. I wish I still had it because it was awesome now that I think about it. But I found out she had this guitar, and then I found out they were teaching you know, guitar at my school, or at elementary school. So I wanted to try that, and I kind of got into it and started, you know, learned like, you know, Stand By Me and My Girl on the guitar and all that stuff, which was a lot of fun when you're like, you know, 9, 10, 11 years old. But and then I stopped after a while. Then as a teenager, I got really into like new metal music, which I regret. But, you know, you had to come from somewhere, right? You know, so all my friends were playing guitar at the time, and I was like, well, man, it's like maybe I'll pick bass. And also Josh's older sister Bonnie was gorgeous. She looked like Topanga from Boy Meets World. And she told me once, she said she thought bass players were hot and had a crush on her at the time. So I couldn't get a bass fast enough, you know. Of course, that never panned out. So, but when I picked up bass, I realized how much fun it was to play bass, because, you know, bass is such an important part of music. I mean, it holds the rhythm. It's, you know, what, you know, everyone kind of, you know, moves to. I mean, one of my favorite bass lines in the entire world is Sly and the Family Stone, Everyday People. Larry Graham, he's playing a G note, a G chord note the entire song. He doesn't change anything. So if that guy can just play one note and make that song awesome, it's like, you could do anything on the bass, you know? So bass became very, very, very important to me, and it still is. It's my favorite instrument of all time to play. But none of my family were very musically talented. My grandmothers on both sides of my family played piano, but it skipped a generation. Like my mom sang. My dad was more of a music lover than he was a, you know, musician. So it just skipped I guess it skipped a generation. And
so what did you guys listen to in the household on the weekend, cleaning up, before you went grocery shopping, or, you know, what was your mom and dad listening to? What do you recall them playing in the house? Man,
I remember the Beatles. I remember Bad Company. I remember Pink Floyd, Queen, Led Zeppelin. I remember listening to, you know, all the Motown hits. It wasn't until like later in my life and I listened to Motown and be like, of course I know this song. It's like everyone knows Motown songs. And then, you know, so that was what I was listening to growing up. And then of course like 90s grunge, like Pearl Jam and Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and all those bands like that. But it wasn't until I got really a lot older and my musical taste changed from like that new metal music like Korn and Limp Bizkit, and you know, I'll admit it. And you know, Metallica's still a great band. I still like Metallica, but it wasn't until like when I grew up and I realized how important Stax was. And Stax, being a Memphis institution, made some of the biggest and most well-known songs in history were made in this city. And that's when I started really connecting with music, and realizing where all this music came from. Even with Sun, you had Elvis, Johnny Cash, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison, like all these great artists, you know, Howlin' Wolf. And then I just started eating it all up. So I'm very thankful my parents played such great classic music, you know, when I was a kid. And then developing, you know, and then they let me have my freedom with my musical taste when I was a teenager, which I'm glad they did, because if they would have, you know, if I would have rebelled against them, then I probably would still be listening to like Slipknot. And then if that was the case, I'd want someone to come and find me and beat the crap out of me. So, but thankfully, and like my father got such great musical taste, and he introduced me to a lot of like, you know, he showed me what, you know, Stax was all about, and then High Records and Volt and American Recordings, like what Dusty Springfield did, you know, Son of a Preacher Man, like all these awesome songs and groups came out of Memphis. I want people to be able to help each other and like be creative. And you know, whether people have time for that or not, that's a different story. Price of living's gone up because everyone's going to Nashville. It's like, like I said, I don't want to go to Nashville. I love Nashville, but I love Memphis a whole hell of a lot more. And I would hope that people would definitely, instead of just saying how much they can't stand the city, it's like, no, I mean, well, if you can't stand it, then, you know, instead of complaining about it, why don't you do something to help it, something to change it, you know? I don't complain about Memphis. I mean, I've lived here my entire life. This is my home. And I know there's so much, you know, bad things happen here, but you know what? It's like, that's just what happens. Just like, you know, try to help it, whether that's, you know, building a community garden or, you know, putting on a benefit show to help, you know, the pension plans for, you know, city employees, something, you know, or go to a firehouse and play like an acoustic set for the firemen that, you know, save our lives every day, and just sit there. You know, I always wanted to go up on Union to that fire station right there, and just, you know, us to go up there and just play a few songs for the guys, because, you know, when are they going to be able to go out and see music, because they're too busy trying to save people's lives, you know, just to show what we can, just a little bit of appreciation for just people in this town, because this town has got incredible people and a lot of great things going on. It's just nobody wants to focus on that.
Well, Jeff, man, we definitely appreciate you talking to us. Is there anyone you want to say hello to, shout out, whatever?
Just to Memphis, you know, I love everyone in this town, and this is my home and always will be. No matter where I'm at in this world, I will always come back here, no matter what. So,
speaking on that, before we let you go, we heard that you had a project coming up. You guys are going to be going to Georgia.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that before we let you go?
Yeah, we just signed with a new company out of Nashville called 30 Tigers. They are our new management company and label service company. We are about to embark in 6 days, go down to Valdosta, Georgia, and record our new album for an entire month with a producer named Mark Neal, who worked with the Black Keys and also with a group called J. Roddy Walston and the Business, and a bunch of other great musicians. So we're getting the opportunity to work with an incredible producer engineer that's won Grammys, made platinum albums, but has got such a distinct sound that, you know, that hopefully we can get something good out of it. So we're going down there, and then hopefully by May of next year we will release the album, and then go on a probably tour for the rest of the summer, probably until the rest of next year. So we're very excited about this new album coming out. It's been overdue for 5 years.
Give us a time frame of release?
May 2015 is what I'm hearing right now. So
what's the name of it?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I think it's gonna be titled "Let's Hope This Works." So, yeah, I don't know, but But as soon as we find out the title, which probably won't be till next year, I mean, we'll come up with all these grand ideas for a title, and then it'll be something simple like just like one word, you know. It's like, okay. So, but yeah, so we'll be releasing a new album next year, and we're really excited about it.
And we definitely look forward to the album. One question we have to ask everyone that we interview.
Yes, sir.
Who are you listening to?
From Memphis right now?
Right now.
Oh, man.
Last Memphis artist you listened to?
I just pulled up listening to the Temprees, man. Dedicated to the one I love. My father worked with William Johnson, the lead singer of the Temprees back in the 80s, and William Johnson actually sang at my parents' wedding back in 1983, which I found out about, and I was flipped out. And so yeah, the Temprees, Stax artist, that was the last group I listened to, and that was just about 30 minutes ago. Love those guys.
Great talking to you, man. We're gonna let you go get back to work, back in the studio.
All right, man. Well, it was my absolute pleasure, so thanks for having me, guys. I'm Jeff Smith with Star MICEY, and we run Memphis.
Exactly like you wanted to be, but I could be sad.